What has happened to Kyle Shanahan's offense? And I got to ask a bigger question. What has happened to the 49ers run game? Where is it?
I got a question for you. Big question.
I didn't see Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson picked up 55 of his 88 yards on 2 carries.
Well, here's the question. Is Kyle Shanahan still an offensive genius? He's got a lot of talent on offense. He's got the best defense in the league. And this offense is ranked 23rd in yards and 28th in points. Is he still an offensive genius? Because if he is, he's going to fix this. He's going to figure this out, like now.
Was he ever truly an offensive genius? I don't know. But I mean,
yeah.
How much of it can you just keep putting it on the quarterback and say, well, he just doesn't have the quarterback. Trey's too young and Jimmy's too flawed and this and that.
It's the quarterbacks.
And he's been here a while now. He's been here a while.
He's the one that was like, I don't want to scout Patrick Mahomes because I'd rather scout CJ Beathard. I mean, he did that.
And it's not like, look at the weapons. You got Debo, you got Ayuk, you got Kittle, you got a bunch of backs.
Yep. You
got the best left tackle in football. You got an incredible defense that's awesome on all 3 levels. You didn't have a great secondary. You improved your secondary.
Yep.
Hafanga grew up. You had brought in Mooney Ward. They look really good on all 3 levels. But still, it's like, even though you're this offensive guy with this huge reputation, you're still being carried by your defense. And it's like, well, wait a second. At what point in this run with Shanahan and Lynch is the offense going to take control and start carrying the defense?
To be fair to Kyle, there's only so much you can do when you have a quarterback as limited as Jimmy, which again is why they brought in Trey Lance, which again is why I was so outraged at how they got Trey Lance injured, how it happened, when in the season. It's like, you ruined the whole season. And then you had people trying to convince themselves that it was actually for the best. No, Jimmy's not good enough. They brought in Trey for a reason. And now Kyle's back to trying to do smoke and mirrors. Hey, our quarterback won't throw it down the field and you know it, but I'm still going to try to put up enough points to win. They haven't been able to do that the Packers game, they had no offense. The NFC Championship game, they had no offense. Week 1, no offense. Week 3, no offense. I mean, it seems like the book's out on Kyle, and he needs to make an adjustment. And his quarterback is too limited to really make a meaningful one. I mean, last year they brought Debo to running back. That's not scary. That's not surprising anyone anymore. What's the next trick? What can he do?
Well, and can you do you have a passing game? only at all. The only time they demonstrate any passing game is when they're taking everybody by surprise, when they're passing on first down. in a run heavy set and they throw the ball, then they surprise people. If they're not surprising people, it's like there's no offensive passing attack to speak of. And if they ever get disconnected on the scoreboard by a score or two, and now the other team is, thinking pass, it's like it's totally over. And it's not just over for Jimmy, it's over for Trey. It's like Trey couldn't pass in obvious passing downs. Jimmy can't pass in obvious passing downs. But the thing about Trey was there was hope that he would improve.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there hoping Jimmy's going to improve, I mean, what is that really?
And I feel like a lot of people defend Kyle. Like, it's not Kyle's fault that Jimmy Garoppolo is limited and not good. It is Kyle's fault because these are the quarterbacks he has in his team. If he wanted Matt Ryan, he could have got him. If he wanted Matt Stafford, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, could have got him. These are the quarterbacks he wanted. The one that was promising, he got injured in a really stupid way. And the one that never improves is here to stay. So I think you have to hold Kyle Shanahan responsible for all of this. I hate when people say, well, give him a quarterback and watch to see what he could do. Man, he's had more than half a decade to find one. And we're still on the Jimmy Garoppolo experience. So I can't say he's an offensive genius. And that's why I feel like he's got to be on the hot seat at least. I mean, he might win the Super Bowl this year and prove us all wrong. But if he doesn't make the playoffs, if his offense is a problem this year, with this defense, don't you feel like other offensive coaches be looking at this team like, man, that's a job I want, as opposed to 5 years ago when it was Chip Kelly, or 6 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that the 49ers have had such bad runs of coaches that Kyle, by comparison, looks worlds better and is worlds better. But is he ultimately, are we seeing this team progress?
That's the whole thing with Kyle, though. Who he came after and his name. Those two things are such a big reason why he's in year 6 while 4 games under 500.
And it's a brutal offense right now. I mean, Jeff Wilson had a 37-yard run. He had an 18-yard run. The rest of the time, it's Wilson and Debo carrying 15 times for 29 yards. They're not even getting 2 yards a pop in the run game. What has happened to the run game?
Jordan Mason, why don't you give him a chance? He gets 1 carry, 7 yards. Go back to the bench. Who said you could run for 7 yards? The game plan is to run for 2 yards a carry tonight, Jordan. Stop being such a me first guy. I don't understand that. It's because we told him to play him, and Kyle just doesn't like being told what to do. I really believe that.
Well, you were there for the Chris Forster interview last week when Jordan Mason's name came up. It was like, well, I mean, they didn't use the term "wet the bed," but it was like, yeah, the kid had a nice carry or two in the preseason, and now let's see if he can do it, in front of the nation with everybody. So what are we trying to see if the kid can fail? Because then you put him out there in one snap and he runs for 7 yards, never to touch the football again. I mean,
so strange.
Are we rooting for him or against him? Isn't he on our team as well? I mean, it's a bizarre thing. And nobody should say a word about the defense, really. I mean, yeah, the defense has given up some plays, but all these excuses. Garoppolo didn't have a playbook. This guy, Shanahan, literally said from the podium 3 weeks ago that Garoppolo knows as much about the offense as anybody. He could probably teach it. Yeah. And now we're throwing out excuses like he didn't have a playbook and he was rusty. How about this? He's totally, thoroughly, and proven to be mediocre. And guess what? He still is. He's mediocre. And mediocre is not top 10. It's not top 20. It's he's probably like 20 to 25 in the rankings. But it's a terrific roster on, with a lot of talent. And this is, if they don't make the playoffs, I think there should be a little heat on the entire regime, because it's pro football and you got to get results. And now you're having Jed pay the extra freight for the proven number 2 quarterback, and you still aren't going to make the playoffs. I think there's going to be something to be answered for there.
I just feel like Kyle Shanahan gets so much of the benefit of the doubt in the media because he's a brand name. Everyone knows Shanahan. And people want to talk about coaches, but really they don't know all the coaches. Like Nick Sirianni in Philly is not a brand name, but he's coaching his ass off. Look what he's doing with Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's developing him as well as you could hope anyone would develop Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts is showing a ceiling right now that no one thought he freaking had at any point coming out of college. Nick Sirianni is doing a hell of a job. If his name was Shanahan, you know how much more money he'd be making right now? How much more praise he'd be getting? So I think we got to be cognizant of that. Like, the Niners needed credibility coming off the Chip Kelly, Tom Sula years. Shanahan, John Lynch, those are brand names. They provided it. Great. Kind of like how Mark Jackson provided the Warriors with credibility after years of being a joke. Okay, you reached a certain level. Can you get over it? Kyle, this is year 6. And how many coaches on the Niners have reached year 7? Seifert, Walsh, are you really going to join that company while you're under 500? I don't know. This organization used to have really high standards. Is this now like Dallas Cowboys West? Do they just care about being talked about and being 500? Because they could do that for a long time with Kyle. I mean, if they just want to be talked about, keep Kyle. You'll be 500. You'll be talked about by Colin Cowherd every freaking day.
Somebody made the comparison this week that they've become, since moving to Levi's, the San Jose Sharks of the NFL.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they compete and they look good and everybody likes them. It's just they don't win shit. Yeah. And at the end of the day, they don't win any championships.